going on, guys? Welcome back to this week's second exclusive segment from the greatest podcast on turf. I'm Ryan.
I'm Anthony.
And for this second episode, we are going to be doing our stardom sit-ems for this upcoming week. Now, we asked you guys, recently some stardom sit-ems that you had. We had a couple answers, so we're going to do those first, and then we're going to dig deep and find a couple guys, just stardom sit-ems, players that we like this week, players that we don't like this week. But before we get into anything, be sure to check out our other content this week, where on the podcast we did our first ever prediction of the games.
Our
we both have
wager series, I like to call it.
Exactly. And then be sure to check out our other exclusive segment where we talked about...
What do we do?
This is
Now
bad.
we look like dummies.
Yeah, we do.
What did we just
I
record?
have no idea.
We did, best bets. Our best bets segment.
Yes.
Sorry, guys. It's been a long day. I had an accounting exam this morning.
Also, be sure to check out our sponsor, Little Italy Pizzeria. We're sitting in a restaurant right now. Come get yourself some
Diet
food,
soda.
some diet soda. It's good. Everything's good. Try it out.
Yeah, Ryan pretty much said it all. Be sure to check out all of our content. You guys already know what to do. You guys have been killing it. Like, subscribe, follow us, show us love. We love and appreciate each and every one of you guys that shows us love constantly, listens to the podcast, interacts with us on social media, likes our videos, all that stuff. Just a real quick disclaimer though. Right now it is 8:06 p.m. We usually don't record till about closer to 9 p.m. Little Italy is still open for business, so if you hear grill chopping or people talking in the background, don't mind it. It's just Little Italy going on. They got business to run too. But I think you covered it all, no?
Yep.
But yeah, just be sure to check out all our videos. This is one of those videos we promise we're going to be doing every week. So expect weekly stardom sit-em videos, weekly best bets videos,
Waiver
weekly
wire.
wager, weekly one-on-one wager, weekly waiver wire pickups, weekly recaps of last week, biggest takeaways from the week before, all that stuff. Starting next week, we'll have videos dropping Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday even. We have a lot of content dropping starting next week. This week, like I said, was a weird week. And with that being said, let's get into our stardoms.
Actually, before we get into that, we got to check out the fan submissions.
Yes, you're right.
So the first one that we're going to talk about it was AJ, right?
Mm-hmm.
AJ Pepper. He was on our previous
Podcast.
podcast.
Check it
Asked
out if you
us
haven't already.
our opinion on Javonte Williams and should he start him this week. Now, I do like Javonte Williams' season-long outlook, but I also think that he is a risky play week one. I'm not sure what the Broncos are going to do with Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams. I think 100% that he takes the job eventually. I'm not sure that it's week one. I'm not sure how many touches he gets. So, the player in Javonte Williams, the draft pick in Javonte Williams, I love, but I'm not sure I'm starting him week one, especially if you have safer options that are volume safe. If that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense, and you pretty much said it all. Like Ryan said, I love Javonte Williams. I have him in one of my fantasy leagues. I've been very high on him all year. It's just tough. It was a similar situation before Travis Etienne got hurt to the Jaguars. Like if Travis Etienne hadn't got hurt, maybe some of these picks for some of the guys we talk about would have been different. Like you don't know. You have a 2 running back system, a rookie running back who was drafted high, and a veteran running back, or like who's proved themselves or is a viable option, I guess. So it's definitely a tough situation. Definitely, if you have absolutely nothing else you can start in your flex, go ahead and just gamble. But if you have other safer options, I would say, like Ryan said, this week probably isn't the week to start a rookie, I guess, in a committee. And then the next one, my dad's in a couple different fantasy leagues. He saw my post on Instagram and texted me right away. He wanted to know for one of his receiver 2/flexes in his one league, he asked whether he should start Marquez Callaway from the New Orleans Saints or Deontay Johnson. So I'll take this one. Me personally, I don't like either matchup this week, honestly, but I'm probably going to go ahead and say Deontay Johnson. He's definitely a safer option. I don't know how Buffalo is going to do this thing against Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh has, I guess, 3 solid receiver options, and they only really have Tre'Davious White, and I don't know who their other corners are.
Not Josh Norman.
Because he is a Washington football teamer? No, he's a 49er. Josh Norman's a 49er. So, yeah, and then you got Marquez Callaway, who's probably the receiver one in New Orleans, who's going to be drawing all the attention from Jair Alexander over at Green Bay. So, Dad, it's Deontay Johnson this week, unfortunately. I don't like it, but he's a safer option compared to Marquez Callaway, who's going to be getting shadowed or getting a lot of attention from Jair.
Yeah, for me, it's Deontay Johnson, and it's not really close. Marquez Callaway will be covered by Jair Alexander, who is a top 3 corner in the league, one of the best man coverage corners in the league, and I'm 100% staying away from that one. So I'll go ahead and jump to his next question. He has Jerry Jeudy or Brandon AIYUK, and this is a
flex spot.
This is a very good problem to have,
yeah.
I would say. With me, season-long outlook, I am 100% for Brandon AIYUK. In my personal opinion, a second-year breakout. Same as Jerry Jeudy. I like both of these guys week 1, so I'm going to go ahead and say I would start Jerry Jeudy. Brandon AIYUK was battling a groin injury, I believe, groin and hamstring injury for the past week or so. He could re-aggravate it, and it could end up, him sitting the rest of the game. So the safer option, in my opinion, is Jerry Jeudy. I think he's going to work out of the slot. I don't see James Bradbury shadowing him in the slot, so I think he'll be okay there. While Brandon AIYUK, he's got a dream matchup. I understand that. But there's just worries about him being 100% and possibly missing the game, especially if they go out there, run the brakes off of the Lions and be up by 20. I could see him sitting out. So with me, I'm going Jerry Jeudy.
That's fair, and I agree with you 100% on that one. I mean, AIYUK, it is tempting to start him against Detroit's defense, who's very, very below average. I think their corners are
Jeff
Okudah. Oh, what the heck is the guy's name? I'm going to think of his name in a little bit. I can't think of his name. But they have Jeff Okudah, Nickel Roby-Coleman.
There's not much.
Yeah. Amani Oruwariye is there as well. Second or third year corner. But yeah, it's a very tempting start, Dad. But Jerry Jeudy is actually one of my starts of the week. So I'll touch on him later. But I mean, let me check our DM one more time, see if we got any more worth talking about. Let's see. None that were worth talking about. The rest were kind of like basic guys. Like, should I start Austin Eckler or Zeke Elliott? Kind of self-gimmies. I mean, they're your first 2 picks, so probably both. So thanks for asking. Not coming at you, but every week you're going to want to start your top draft pick, so there goes your answer.
Don't be too cute.
A wise man once said,
yeah,
don't be too cute, but if you look good, you play good. So now, time for stardoms.
Let's go.
All right, cool. So for my first stardom this week, I think you guys probably already know where I'm going with this. I'm a big Tom Brady guy. So for my first stardom this week, I'm going Tom Brady. Coming off a Super Bowl win. It's Super Bowl night in Tampa Bay tomorrow night. Well, it will be tonight when this video is coming out. Tonight, Brady's going back. He's opening season. He's playing for his 8th ring against the Dallas Cowboys defense, who sucks. They don't have much going at all, and I'm not even saying this because Ryan's a Cowboys fan. It's the truth. Ryan will admit it.
Yep.
It was funny on Hard Knocks. Micah Parsons was like, he was talking about like playing against Brady week 1, and he was like, all his boys are hyping him up, like, oh, you got to sack him, like all this and all that, because he was talking to DeMarcus Ware. It was a pretty cool exchange they were having, and how DeMarcus Ware was saying how Brady used to call him out, and he plays these little mind games with the young defensive players he plays against. So I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, Tom Brady, it's a no-brainer to start. He's playing a potential bottom 10 defense in football week 1 with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Gronk, OJ Howard back. Pretty much enough said there for my first stardom in Tom Brady.
For me, I'm going to go with Jalen Hurts against Atlanta. I believe this game can score a lot of points. Both of these defenses aren't very good. Atlanta is really bad against passing quarterbacks. Running quarterbacks. They were last year. And Jalen Hurts is a rushing quarterback. I can definitely see him escaping with a rushing touchdown, having 40, 50 yards rushing. If those two things happen, that's 10 points, and then passing's on top of that. I think Jalen Hurts is a pretty safe quarterback, especially when he's going up against bad teams, just because of the way he can run the ball. Quarterbacks that can run the football are a cheat code in fantasy football, so I'm going to expose that and start Jalen Hurts as many times as I can against a sorry Atlanta defense week 1 with not many help.
Listen, if that's true, Eagles fans and Jalen Hurts owners are lucky because the Eagles suck, and the Eagles have about 6 games that could go 50-50, including this Atlanta Falcons game. So that's 6 games of the year where, if Ryan's theory is correct, you have a stud quarterback in Jalen Hurts. So I'll leave it at that. I like the start, though. I think it's safe. I think it's smart, and I think that you're very right about the Falcons' defense. So I had a second stardom quarterback in a very average quarterback, so to say. I love making fun of the guy, but when he's playing the Cincinnati Bengals defense, when their corners are Eli Apple and Chidobe Awuzie, you got to start Kirk Cousins, especially with the weapons he has at receiver. D.D. Westbrook in a slot, Justin Jefferson, and Adam Thielen, who I'll touch on in a little bit. But yeah, Kirk Cousins is another guy. He's probably not on your roster. So if you have a quarterback with a tough matchup on your roster, go ahead and start Kirk Cousins. Or if you decided to just stream a quarterback like I've done in years past, grab Kirk Cousins off the waiver wire and start him. It's a safe bet. Bengals defense, a lot of new acquisitions. I think that's the word, acquisitions. But fairly new guys. They're young. They don't have much going for them in the secondary. So, I mean, Kirk Cousins is a safe pick for this week, as bad and as average as he is.
Should we jump to sit-em quarterbacks or start-em receivers?
Probably sit-em quarterbacks while we're just on the topic.
So staying with quarterbacks, going to go to the sit-em list. I have one, and it is Justin Herbert against Washington. Now this one, you could argue getting too cute with it, but in my personal opinion, I would rather start somebody like Kirk Cousins and Justin Herbert this week. And
That's
Kirk
fair.
Cousins, I think you can grab off the waiver, off the transaction list. I don't think you can grab, I don't know how can I say this, but anyways, Justin Herbert is traveling across. He's traveling across the country, playing against a Washington football team defense that is number 1. I know Justin Herbert is good, but I think if you're sitting there with flexibility on your roster, like you can go grab a Kirk Cousins. I would 100% do that if he's available. Justin Herbert versus Washington, I'm kind of fading a little bit. If you have to start him, go ahead. Don't drop bench depth that you need.
Yeah.
Don't drop a decent running back for, a Kirk Cousins for 1 week. But I would be fading Justin Herbert a little bit, and I definitely wouldn't be putting him on any DraftKings teams or any daily fantasy teams at all. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, that's fair, and I'm high on Washington's defense. I almost wanted to put Austin Eckler in my sit-em running backs, but that was getting too cute. Even though he is banged up with a hammy, I think. But for my sit-em quarterback, I had one guy. I had 2 guys. I just want to throw this guy. I heard it's a no-brainer. Andy Dalton. I'm not starting Andy Dalton any week. Enough said. But now for my sit-em quarterback this week, I said Ben Roethlisberger. Sure, they have the weapons. They're playing against a Buffalo defense who clearly got better in the offseason. Buffalo added a lot to their defensive line, to their front 7. So it's going to be tough for a Pittsburgh offensive line who's not the best anymore, who's not who they were last year. And Big Ben still at times was having trouble when he did have those proven guys on the offensive line. Buffalo's secondary isn't the greatest, but still it's kind of a weird matchup, especially after how Buffalo played them last time. Was during the period where Pittsburgh kind of fell apart. But yeah, Ben Roethlisberger, he's probably not on your roster either, but if you do have him on your roster, I'm probably sitting him this week. Which I guess we should move on to running backs or receivers.
We'll go ahead to jump to running backs. My first stardom at running back is Gus Edwards against the Raiders on Monday night. Now, they just brought in Le'Veon Bell. I get that, but I am not falling for the Le'Veon Bell trap. I think Gus Edwards... I don't think I've ever fell for that.
I'll tell a story.
You fell for that one? Cool. Gus Edwards, I think he's gonna run with some bad intentions Monday night. We see them bringing in Le'Veon Bell. There is buzz around this Williams guy, but I think Gus the Bus Edwards is going to take his job Monday night and run with it. I don't see the Raiders posing much of a threat on defense. I mean, Max Crosby, that's kind of where the line runs out.
They have Cleveland Farrell, former number 3 overall pick.
Yeah. I think Gus Edwards is going to do what he wants to do against his Raiders defense. I think he's going to be running with bad intentions. I'm starting him this week.
I like that, and actually, when we were talking before, I actually would have thrown him in there for the start of the week conversation for Gus Edwards. But now, my first stardom running back this week, Kareem Hunt. Now, Kareem Hunt, here's a guy that you have is in a 2-headed monster committee with Nick Chubb, who's arguably one of the better running backs in the NFL. But this week, playing against this Kansas City offense, I have a feeling we're not going to see much of Nick Chubb this week, just because I have a feeling that this game could get very high scoring. Even though Cleveland has a top defense in the NFL and Kansas City improved their defense as well this offseason. If this game gets into a shootout, Nick Chubb isn't going to be playing much because Kareem Hunt's going to be in, because they're going to be throwing the ball a lot in Cleveland to keep up with Kansas City. So, I mean, Kareem Hunt, it's not the safest start, but, I mean, I'm willing to take that gamble with Cleveland playing against the Kansas City Chiefs, who have arguably the highest powered offense in the NFL. So, I'd be willing to take that start for Kareem Hunt.
That's fair, and I'll go ahead and jump to my start of the week. Running back Raheem Mostert. 49ers playing against the Detroit Lions, who have the worst rushing defense in all the football last year. So with that being said, give me Raheem Mostert. I personally think that Trey Sermon might get involved later. He might even get involved week 1 if it's a blowout. So if you're struggling to find depth, throw in Trey Sermon, take the chance. But Raheem Mostert, he's going to be a stud. They brought in Trey Sermon. That has to, light the light bulb in Raheem Mostert that his job might be getting taken in the near future, so he might have to run with some bad intentions. And what's the better defense to do it on than the Detroit Lions? And once again, like the Raiders, there is not much there. The San Francisco 49ers are a rushing football team. Once again, like the Ravens, I think Raheem Mostert has a big day against the Lions defense. I think the 49ers do whatever they want because there's not much there in front of them. Give me Raheem Mostert start of the week.
No, that's fair, and I actually have 2 more running backs I'm going to talk about. I like what you said about Mostert. I love how we're just bashing Detroit Lions because they're not a very good franchise. Poverty, to be quite frank. But now my other running back stardom, I don't like this one at all, but I just have to throw it out there for reasons, as Ryan said before. Miles Sanders. Atlanta's defense isn't very good. That's the bottom line. They have Grady Jarrett on the line. Deion Jones at middle linebacker. I can't name anyone else. I mean, maybe if I'm missing a big name, sorry. Maybe Vic Beasley. Is he still playing for them? No. Vic Beasley's not playing for them anymore.
No.
But yeah, I can't.
Absolutely not.
The Eagles' offensive line. The Eagles are good for the first few weeks when everyone's healthy. So, I mean, the Eagles, on paper, have a healthy offensive line this week. Sure, there may be a little committee going this week. You may see some Kenneth Gainwell or
Boston
Carry on got cut, right? Boston Scott, Kenneth Gainwell, guys like that. But Miles Sanders, if you have him, I mean, I'm not mad at you for starting him as much as we crapped on him during fantasy season. I mean, this week it's not bad. Atlanta doesn't have much on defense. Which leads me to my start of the week, running back James Robinson from the Jacksonville Jaguars. I kind of touched on James Robinson at the beginning, where he was in a committee with ETN and we didn't know how the Jags running back situation was going to be. But it's looking like ETN's done for the year. And what better of a running back to have gotten, I mean, especially the value where James Robinson was this year, because ETN was getting drafted ahead of him. I mean, James Robinson playing against probably the worst defense in football, the Houston Texans, in a game that could get ugly. I mean, I have a feeling it's going to get ugly for Houston, so I mean, they'll be running the ball. James Robinson may get involved. James Robinson will be involved. Carlos Hyde may even get involved, but James Robinson's start of the week for me at running back, for them playing against the Houston Texans alone. And I have a feeling that Jacksonville is going to be coming into this game swinging for the fences this week, because Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence are both trying to prove themselves, I guess.
That's fair. I'm going ahead and jump to our sit-em running backs. I'll start off with mine. I'm going to go with Chase Edmonds against the Titans. I like Chase Edmonds as a player. I think he's a stud. But all last year, Chase Edmonds was by far the better running back than Kenyon Drake. When Kenyon Drake wasn't there, Chase Edmonds was a stud. But they still don't trust him. And, hopefully that doesn't hold up this year. But I guess they don't trust him since he's a smaller running back. So therefore, week 1, I could honestly see him giving James Conner the ball too many times, which is making me want to fade Chase Edmonds and possibly look somewhere else. The way I drafted my fantasy teams this year, I went running back heavy, so maybe a Chase Edmonds would be a RB4. Therefore, I'm definitely benching him. And in terms of daily fantasy, I'm not taking the risk of putting Chase Edmonds on my team. I could see this game being a shootout and possibly him getting, a touchdown. I'm just worried about if they'll treat him with the respect he deserves.
That's fair, and I like that. I actually just traded you for James Conner in one of my other leagues with the gut feeling that he is going to be taking over as the main back eventually in this offense down the line. But I like what you said for that sit-em. I think it's fair, and it's similar to a situation I said about no, I don't know. I was thinking about something earlier. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of throwing in this game as well. So, I mean, I don't know how much running backs are going to get involved. I mean, it would be Chase Edmonds to get involved in the passing game. But, I mean, I don't know how much if it's a heavy hitting game like I think it's going to be. Which leads me to my first sit of the week for running backs. Every other week, this is getting too cute, but Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley, running back, coming off of major ACL injury against the Denver Broncos, who are a better defense in the NFL. I know we're not talking about next week, but next week they also play the Washington football team on Thursday night, so he's got a short week. He just got cleared for practice yesterday or today, and today's Wednesday, and I don't think that he's going to be able to come in on a Wednesday, first full practice, and then come in on Sunday afternoon to take a full running back workload like you would expect. So I have Saquon Barkley in one of my leagues, and I'll tell you right now, I'm probably not starting him, unfortunately.
That's fair. That's bold. I don't think I would do that, but I respect the play. So I'll go ahead and jump to my next sit-em, and it is Melvin Gordon against the Giants. This is kind of the same reason with Javonte Williams. I think Javonte Williams is the better running back, but I'm just not sure how it's going to play. I'm not sure what the Broncos are going to do. Are they going to play Javonte Williams, or are they going to play Melvin Gordon? Is it going to be a 50-50 split? And is this 50-50 split worth it? Because, you know, the Browns, they get Kareem Hunt involved, but it's a good offense and it works. I'm not sure that this Broncos offense is going to be good enough to withstand Jerry Jeudy, Courtland Sutton, and then these two running backs.
And Fante have
somebody's going to be left out. I kind of think it's going to be one of these running backs, probably Melvin Gordon, but I'm still probably fading both of them this week until I kind of see who takes the leading role in the backfield.
I agree with that 100%. I couldn't have said it much better. My final sit of running back, actually I have two more because my sit of the week was also a running back. So I'll go on to my second sit-em this week, DeAndre Swift. This could be getting too cute depending where you drafted him. Playing against a healthy 49ers front seven, Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead, D Ford if he got all his gun charges and whatever dropped. D Ford, is he on the 49ers or Chiefs? Frank Clark is
Frank Clark.
He got in trouble with the gun,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Not D Ford. But yeah, the 49ers are getting their front.
Sorry, D Ford.
Sorry. They're getting their front seven back healthy. Playing against a Detroit offense who has a lot to prove, to be honest, in D Ford. But yeah, DeAndre Swift. The Bengals, what am I talking about? The Lions, they do have a top 10 offensive line. I don't know how good they're going to be. There was some big concerns in the preseason about Penei Sewell, so it'll be interesting to see how he holds up against these proven veterans in Armstead, D Ford, Nick Bosa. But yeah, DeAndre Swift, if he's your option at running back, go ahead and you probably have to start him. But if you have other flex options or better running back options, I'm sure there's better options this week than DeAndre Swift. Do you have anything to say on that before I move on to my sit of the week?
Oh, good.
Josh Jacobs is my sit of the week. Another running back I know. Josh Jacobs playing against that Baltimore Ravens defense behind an offensive line which is much worse from last year, and he was still very underwhelming. The Ravens like to blitz a lot. They like to load the box. They got Patrick Queen, some other notable guys on the defensive line as well. Calais Campbell's still there, I think. Yeah, the Ravens, their front seven's always good no matter what guys they have. So it's always tough to start a running back against them. But when you're a Josh Jacobs behind an offensive line who's not very good, and when you're probably going to be playing from behind, not a good week for a Josh Jacobs fantasy owner.
Fair enough. I think it's time to go ahead and jump to our stardom wide receivers. For me, I'll start off with Robbie Anderson against the Jets. It's a revenge game, him and Sam Darnold. Robbie Anderson is arguably 1A, 1B in his Carolina offense. I think Robbie Anderson is a stud. I think he's going to go off against the Jets. The Jets, they don't have a great defense. There's going to be a chip on his shoulder, on him and Sam Darnold's shoulder. Robbie Anderson, starting him in every league I own him in, and starting him in every daily fantasy team that I can afford to put him on. So yeah, give me Robbie Anderson this week.
I like that. And Robbie Anderson was another candidate for my start of the week when we talked about it earlier. We talked about it on Tuesday's video as well. Or maybe it was even the podcast about how him and Sam Darnold are going to come out and absolutely kill the Jets. The Jets corners are Bryce Hall, not the TikTok star or YouTuber, the cornerback. And he's sorry. So enough said on that. I love Robbie Anderson and Sam Darnold this week, as much as that pains me to say. My first stardom receiver of the week, keep it short and simple. We already talked about him, Jerry Jeudy. Ryan pretty much said it all at the beginning of the video. So Jerry Jeudy, stardom receiver of the week, enough said. And now I'll just jump with my second receiver. Another guy who I kind of touched on earlier, Adam Thielen. Justin Jefferson's obviously, you start him every week. But Adam Thielen is a guy this week where he could see a lot of love playing against that beat-up Bengals defense, especially their secondary when they have Eli Apple and Chidobe Awuzie. Pretty much says it all there. The Bengals secondary's banged up big time. Yeah, they have solid safeties in Von Bell and Jesse Bates, who's one of the better safeties in the NFL, but they can only do so much helping out these corners on the secondary. So Adam Thielen, start him this week.
My next stardom is Julio Jones. I'm not sure if I'm doing this if AJ Brown plays, but it seems like AJ Brown is still recovering from those 2 knee surgeries that he had this offseason. During practice today, Wednesday, he just kind of stayed on the bike the whole time. He didn't really, do a whole practice. It's not hugely concerning. It's really tomorrow's practice, as in Thursday's practice, that kind of sets the tone. Originally, I was a little bit worried about Julio Jones and if he would get the target share. But if AJ Brown is out, you have to start Julio Jones against this shootout against the Arizona Cardinals. So if AJ Brown's out, I'm 100% starting. Coolio.
Yeah, because I'll tell you right now, Byron Murphy Jr. is not holding nothing on Julio. And then who's their other corner? Robert Alford, is he still their other corner?
Yeah, I don't know if Malcolm Butler came
Malcolm
back.
Butler retired.
Yeah, I think officially retired.
Officially retired, yeah. But yeah, no one in that Cardinals corners have anything on Julio. Julio's the best receiver in football. So if AJ Brown's out and you're getting him against the Cardinals defense, go ahead and start him.
Yeah, he retired. That sucks.
Yeah, it's a shame. They never came out and said what happened to him either. Which that'll lead me to my first. Do you have another stardom receiver or no?
No, I said a move.
All right, cool. So my sit-em wide receiver, first one. I'm just gonna throw this name out there real quick. This guy could either be a stardom or sit-em. Allen Robinson. I would lean more towards sit-em just because he is going to probably be mirrored by Jalen Ramsey, who is the best corner in football. But, I mean, don't be surprised if he gets some catches, some targets. I mean, we saw in the game last year where Jalen Ramsey was guarding Darnell Mooney, which opened up room for Allen Robinson to get some catches. But don't be surprised if Allen Robinson is held to a very, very slow start to his fantasy football season. And then my other sit-em wide receiver this week, thanks for that, Jamar Chase. Now, I have a feeling that as the season goes on, more of these Bengals receivers are going to be in this sit-em conversation just because we're going to start to see how Joe Burrow's distributing the ball and how they are on the offense. But if this pans out how I think, Jamar Chase, he didn't have a good preseason at all. He's probably going to be guarded by Patrick Peterson, if I had to guess, which leaves T. Higgins to be guarded by whoever their cornerback to is, Cam Dantzler from Mississippi State last year, rookie, or even Tyler Boyd, who will be in the slot. So, I mean, there's 2 other Bengals receivers who I would be starting over Jamar Chase this week. It's just a matter on who you got. If you got to start him, go ahead and start him. But, I mean, I'm sitting Jamar Chase this week.
All right, so I'll go ahead and jump to my 2 sit-em wide receivers. My first one is Kenny Golladay. It's kind of simple. He's been battling injuries all offseason. And he's playing against the Denver Broncos, our defense, week 1, who has a great secondary, a great pass rush. I'm 100% staying away from Kenny Golladay just because he's not healthy. Great defense. Doesn't have a relationship with Daniel Jones.
He did make a comment about that.
Bunch of red flags.
Yeah.
What's the comment?
I saw he made a comment and pretty much just said that developing chemistry with a quarterback takes a lot of time.
And he's had none
missed
of
all
that.
preseason.
So I'll go ahead and jump to my sit of the week, Marquez Callaway. Although I do like his season-long outlook, I think that he can be a stud on this New Orleans offense with Jameis Winston. I've been like when Jameis Winston joined the Saints, I was one of those guys that was like, yo, him and Michael Thomas are gonna go put up historical fantasy numbers. Too bad Michael Thomas didn't work out, but yeah, Marquez Callaway is going to be shadowed by Jair Alexander, who's one of the best man coverage corners in the league. He can definitely shut down Marquez Callaway. I do like Marquez Callaway season long, but I don't see him doing great week 1 against Jair Alexander in a game that probably won't be close either. He might get garbage time at the end.
They're going to win for the Hurricane.
They might. Yeah, I'm still not starting Marquez Callaway, but I am holding him even if he does crappy week 1.
Absolutely, and that's fair. I mean, a receiver 1 on a team who's playing against one of the best corners, I mean, I wouldn't throw him away either, and you guys probably shouldn't throw him away either. But then I think we have 2 sleeper of the week wide receivers.
Yep.
I'll start with mine. I don't even know if he's playing yet, but if he does play, he's definitely a sleeper of the week. Odell Beckham Jr. I know you hate him.
I hate him when people were drafting him in the top 5 rounds. Now that he's fell back, it's fine. You know what you're getting. You know what you're getting. So that's.
But no, I mean, yeah, Odell. Like I said earlier, talking about Kareem Hunt, this game is probably going to be high scoring. And if Odell plays, Odell missed the playoffs last year. The Chiefs' best corner is L'Jarius Sneed. And if Odell's healthy and back on his grind, L'Jarius Sneed don't got nothing on Odell. When Odell's healthy and when he was doing his thing, Odell was a top 5 wide receiver 3 years ago. That just shows how fast.
That's a long time ago.
That just shows you how fast life hits you.
So was Antonio Brown, probably.
Yeah, he was. He was top 1, arguably.
That might have been 4 years ago. But yeah, sure.
But no, I mean, Odell, he's definitely a sleeper of the week. I think him and Baker Mayfield could finally make that jump this year in their relationship and with their on-field chemistry, where Baker Mayfield stops trying to force him the ball. Like Ryan's probably going to say how Tony Romo did to Des Bryant. But I mean, that's probably more of a we'll cross that bridge when we see it type of deal for Odell and Baker. But a sleeper of the week for me is Odell Beckham Jr.
My sleeper of the week is Sammy Watkins. This is more of a, how can I say this? I don't really know. You're just going for the storyline. You're blindfolded, throwing a dart at a wall, seeing if it hits. It's either going to be a lot of points or it's going to be no points. The signs are kind of pointing to a lot. They're playing against a Raiders defense who sucks. Miles Boykin and Rashad Bateman are on IR. Somebody's going to have a good week in this receiving game. It could be Mark Andrews. The other option is Sammy Watkins. So, with that being said, maybe I'll take the shot. Who knows? I'm definitely starting Sammy Watkins over anybody Monday night besides Gus Edwards.
Yeah.
So if you got Henry Ruggs, don't.
You're out of your mind.
So yeah, Sammy Watkins, sleeper of the week.
You're also forgetting Sammy Watkins is probably arguably the greatest week 1 wide receiver of all time. Just wanted to throw that out there. But I think that's going to wrap this one up. This was a little bit of a longer video. We're still trying to figure out how the layout of these videos and podcasts are going to go during the NFL season. It is our first football season. But with that being said, you had something to say.
If you have, if you made it this far and have any questions on who to start or sit this week, be sure to leave them in the comments. We'll answer them as soon as we can. With that being said, that's going to wrap it up. We'll see you guys next week. Football is tonight.
Yeah.
It's back.
Be sure to get your lineup set, by the way. This video does have players from Thursday in it. This video will be posted every Thursday morning. I think we decided Thursday morning, just so you can watch our video, get your lineups in time. But yeah, like Ryan said, if you guys have any questions, feel free to comment. Shoot us a DM on Instagram. It'll be linked in the description below. Leave a comment. Yeah, pretty much. Comment. Hit up our Instagram. We answer. We always reply. We're always on our phones, even in school.
No.
But yeah, we're always looking out for comments. We love answering your guys' comments. We love interacting with you guys. So with that being said, we'll see you guys next week.
Peace.
Good luck in fantasy this week, guys. Hopefully our advice helps. Let us know. We'll see you guys next week.
See ya.